Alright, so about Nofap, I basically used to struggle a lot with Nofap. Like basically around, I used to fap like every day. I used to fap like every day, of course. Like there was even a few times where I had fap like 3 times. Like just just 4 days ago. Like literally just 4 days ago, I literally just fapped like 3 times. But either way, I've known a few tactics and tips, and basically because these were basically the tips that I used to use around the time when I was like on NoFap. So basically, let me tell you, was NoFap was basically like, of course it was hard, like really hard. I still struggled, like I struggled a lot with NoFap, to be honest. I only lasted like one day, day one, day two. Like the first day, I basically like started with day one, and then just it only took, and then the first day I had felt so many urges. I literally could not stop myself. And then I realized myself, but wait. And then the next day, like day one, fap, day two, relapse, and then day one, relapse, and then day two, and then day day three. I wish the third day. It was very intense urges, of course. Like, I've felt so many like really intense urges on like the third day, and basically like of course I couldn't hold myself, so I fapped, because like the third day was just straight up different, like really strong urges. But then again, I watched like I learned from the third day that the urges will be that strong. So I basically did was I knew that it was gonna be very hard, that it will take me about like not really that long, but I realized is that wait, on the third day the urges are very hard and strong. That means on the third day I should be careful around, like I should not fap even though the urges are very strong. So basically what I did was, of course, I didn't fap at like the third day. I was able to hold myself because the urges for some reason lowered, and basically it was way lower than before. So basically on the third day I was able to reach it, and then for some reason it reached the first week. After that, it reached the first week, and it was super intense, like really high urges, like almost like it was the first time reaching there. Like that was basically the first time reaching the first week of NoFap. Like I felt very intense urges, and then like I basically just couldn't hold myself, so I basically like relapsed. And then when I relapsed, I was like, oh man, like I of course I felt this the post clarity. I hate myself, clean up, and basically the next the next day I went ahead and like get serious, and basically the next week the urges were lower, and like not really lower, it's still the same, really intense, and like I was struggling to hold it, but then I was actually able to survive not fapping on that time, that week. On the second week, I mean, the second time I reached the first week of no fap, I like forced myself. I was able to hold myself properly. So how was I able to hold myself? Well, in this video I will be giving you like tips, three tips to like the way I stopped the urges on like that time. So basically the first tip is literally just you see wait, let me talk about the first tip. So the most there is a way to stop the urges. Like you may believe yourself that it is not possible to stop the urges, but there's actually a way, and that is basically to do some push-ups. So if you're feeling like this isn't really the best tip that I can give you, but this tip for some reason was very helpful. I've once tried this on like I think it was the third day of NoFap. I was feeling very intense urges. what I did was basically I did push-ups and the urges disappeared, and I continued on with my day. And basically, it's not really just push-ups. Like, it's very hard to discipline yourself to do the push-ups when you feel the very strong urges. Like, it's very hard, but if you can force yourself, you can actually do it. Now, about the push-ups though, there's also another way, and that is basically to remove the urges. Like, to remove the urges, literally, like when you feel it, like your brain starts telling you like, oh yes, how I wonder how good fapping is gonna feel. Like, do not respond, do not ignore it, bro. Like, completely, like, do not try to remove it, because trying to remove it would just not work. You literally just gotta ignore it and like try thinking about something else, or basically just think of like something, think of something happy. Think of something that like makes you happy. Like, think about like a dog. Like, let's say, think about like your favorite dog or your pet or something. Like, it, for some reason, it will actually be able to stop the urges if you're like, if you think about like something happy. Like when your mom, like, I don't know, pushed you from the swing really high. Like, bro, if you try to remember something like really happy, something you're grateful for, like, bro, it's actually gonna help you a lot. There's also another, like, there's also a honorable mention: meditation. Basically, meditation is just very important, bro. Meditation is important. It can actually help you a lot when you're fighting the urges. So let's say you don't really meditate. Your ego will easily control you and say, yeah, it will make you fap. It'll make you like, yeah, go fap, and then you fap, because it keeps on sending you like some like some things that you used to beat your meat onto. Basically, your PFC, the prefrontal cortex. Basically, when you meditate, this thing gets stronger. The prefrontal cortex will basically like fight off the ego. It will basically fight off your ego. Basically, when your ego is like sending you like, it's like when your ego is telling you to fap, and like it's giving you urges, it's giving you motivation to fap because you feel this very strong urges to fap. Your prefrontal cortex will like fight back and say, no, do not listen to this guy. Do not tell him, like, do not listen to him, bro, because he will basically like, because he will, you know, because you know what happened last time. Like, it will remind you, it will tell you like what happened last time when you actually listen to this brain. Like, that's what the prefrontal cortex do. So meditating, I've made a video about how to meditate on like my video, so you can go ahead and check that out if you want to meditate. Anyways, the third tip is basically just, you gotta you gotta change your identity. You gotta tell yourself, like, this is the last tip right now. You gotta tell yourself that you are not the kind of guy to fap. Like, what's the difference between the guy who is on Nofap and the guy who says he doesn't fap? The difference is, the guy who's on Nofap is struggling, is still fapping, of course. He always loses his streak because he's on Nofap. He will lose his streak because he counts the days. While the guy who doesn't count the days, the guy who like does not count his days, he just tells himself that he's the guy who doesn't fap. That guy who says he doesn't fap, like, he just says, I'm the kind of guy who doesn't fap, he will not fap because he's not on Nofap, bro. If you're on Nofap and you say, and you like, basically, when you become the guy who doesn't fap instead of the guy who's on Nofap, like, you gotta change your identities. If you become that guy, you will actually like be able to tank down, to defeat the urges way easier if you're the guy who doesn't fap. Because the guy who doesn't fap will not fap. The guy who's on Nofap will stay on Nofap. He will reach streaks and then lose it because he's on Nofap. That's what happens to guys on Nofap who tells themselves that they're the guy who's on Nofap. Who's on Nofap? Well, the guy who doesn't fap doesn't even know what day he is. He's literally just chilling. He's literally chilling. He doesn't care about how long has it been. Like it could probably reach a week and feel nothing because he doesn't count his days. He just doesn't care. Like I know like your brain would probably like automatically tell you that you should like that it will tell you automatically your days because you've been on NoFap. You gotta train yourself to not count the days and to not care at all. To not care, do not count the days. If you count the days, like you're 100% gonna fail your NoFap streak. You may reach a month, but you will still fail because you are counting the days. You're saying, "Oh, it's been a month since I last fap. Why don't we fap again?" Like that's the copings that I always fell into. It was up until I changed my identity. That's when I stopped fapping. That was basically that's when the addictions actually disappeared. So if you need some help, if you wanna ask me some questions, you can go ahead and like have a call with me. It's in the description. Keep on improving in life.